Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, where in a minute I'm going to take a look at this Sudoku that Linda has sent in to us and asked us to take a look at. But just to deal with some admin before we start, thank you very much to everybody who's sent us puzzles over the last 2 weeks or so. We do have a lot of puzzles that have been requested. Some of them I'm sure we're going to get round to. Some of them are probably unsuitable for the channel in that the way we tend to do this is that Mark takes a look at them first, and then if he doesn't like the look of them, he'll run them through a solver and see how horrendous they are. And some of the ones that have been sent in have been so utterly horrendous that I probably wouldn't be able to solve them in any sort of meaningful video. You know, they sort of go straight into Death Blossom type strategies. I have to confess, I'm not even sure I know what that is, but I gather it's something way beyond sort of human ability to calculate. So if puzzles are that hard, we're probably not going to be able to do videos on them. But you know, we do obviously, I have solved a lot of puzzles that do involve some fairly extreme techniques over the weeks and months. So that's more the sort of thing that we feel that we can make good videos about. So look out for it. Do send us the puzzles if you want us to solve them, and if we can do, we will try. But we do have a bit of a backlog at the moment. A lot of you are asking what is the name of the software that we use. Now this program on screen at the moment is called Duncan's Sudoku software. It's available for free on Google, and the reason I like it is because I can put these little pencil marks in. I think the free version does all classic Sudoku. I think if you can pay a bit of money, and then it will also do killer Sudoku. And I also appreciate we haven't done a killer Sudoku or a greater than killer Sudoku on the channel for a while, and we're going to correct that soon. Just to let you know as well, I'm not sure when I'm going to publish it, but I did record a couple of weeks ago a sort of magnum opus solve of a horribly difficult puzzle. But it's about a 30-minute video, so I haven't put it up because we've obviously had a lot of new subscribers recently, and I'm not sure they want to see me wade through one of these very, very difficult puzzles, but I will post it shortly. Other than that, was there anything else I wanted to mention? There probably was, and I've now forgotten. So without further ado, let's take a look at this puzzle. Now, what did I notice about this puzzle? Well, Linda sent it in, and she showed us where she'd got to. So let me just show you her partial solution here. And one of the things that I was struck by was firstly that she's clearly using Snyder notation very competently, which is exactly what I want to see. So what do I mean by Snyder notation? Well, you can see, for example, the 9 here and the 9 here, and this 9 down here, limit the 9s in these two cells to just 2 positions in this 3x3 block. And Linda's made little pencil marks to represent that, and the solve is dotted with these pencil marks at the moment, and this is very, very good technique. This is the technique that you'd see if you went to the World Sudoku Championship, used by, I'd say, 95% of the participants in that. So I really do recommend it, and Linda is doing it well. But I noticed a couple of things about this solve, which is why I thought it might be worth covering in the channel. So do take a look at her solve, her partial solve, see if you can see any possibilities for making more progress. And I think one of the reasons I want to cover or to do this puzzle on the screen is that we always have to be flexible in our mental approach. So Snyder notation, the notation we were seeing there, it does take you so far, but we've always got to keep in our mind some other techniques that might help us. So that's enough rabbiting by me. Let's actually start trying to solve the puzzle. So I'm going to start with 5s there because of the 5 here and the 5 here. I can do some 4s over this side, look. 3s down here into one of those 2 positions. 1s into these 2 positions. What else? What next? where can we place a 9, look, in row 2? We have a 9 here and this 9 here, so there's actually one cell that a 9 can go in row 2. That's there. Let's pop that in. Okay. Okay, this 2 here is now shifted into one of those 2 positions, you can see, and that means this cell here has to be the 2 in row 2 again. So make a bit more progress, and now we're looking for the numbers, what's that going to be, 6, 7 and 8. We've got a 6, 8 pair in column 8 here, so this square must be a 7. I'm sure Linda had all this in the grid. I seem to remember she had a 6, 8 pair in these 2 cells, so we've certainly not advanced the solve to any great extent yet. Now let's just take a look at this 7s, 8s, 9s, 6s. Okay, we can put a couple of 6s into the central 3x3 block because of the 6 here, 6 here, and 6 here. 2s, these 2 2s into these 2 cells. So what could we do next? Well, now I'm actually going to shift gears. I'm going to show you what I noticed about Linda's solve. And that was, if we look at row 9 of the grid, in and of itself perhaps not that interesting. You can see we need the numbers 2, 3, 4, and 7. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 7. Okay. Now the interesting thing, the reason that I think this is important to note is, look at this. We have a 4, 7 offset here in row 7. And we have 2's pencil marked by Snyder notation in these 2 cells. Now 2's, 4's and 7's are not yet appearing in row 9 of the grid. So effectively, looking at row 9, we know that we've accounted, if you like, when looking at this box for 7 numbers, because we know these 2 cells here cannot contain any of the numbers in row 9, and they also can't contain the numbers 2, 4 and 7. So there's actually only 2 numbers left that can go into those 2 positions there, and that's the numbers 3 and 5. So that's the first thing I thought was interesting about this opening position or opening setup. So that means we do need to place 2, 4, 7 in these 3 positions. You can see the only real help we get with that is this 7. This cell is limited to a 2 or a 4, but we can't, I think, go any further than that. So what can we do in this situation? And I suppose the next place we might want to take a look is this block, because this block is quite restrained. We need the numbers, what do we need? We need 1, 3, 4 and 5 to go into these positions. So we've got 4's here into these 2 cells, so we can place 4's by Snyder notation like that. So now we haven't been able to do anything yet with the numbers 1 and 3, but again, if we're keeping our mind flexible here, this is really quite nice, because I'll just pencil in the possible positions of 1's and 3's. I mean, they're completely unrestricted. But look at the impact here of this 3, 5 and these 2 cells. There's a 1, 3, 5 triple in column 7 of the grid. Now, I'm not sure whether this actually helps us and gets us any numbers, but let's check. Let's see if we can do anything with this 1, 3, 5 triple, because that in effect gives us 6 numbers now in the column. So we need 6, 8 and 9. So this is an 8 or a 9. And this is a 6 or an 8. No, 6 or a 9. So that is actually no use at all. So spotting this triple, which was my other bit of nice logic from the position that Linda got herself into, hasn't actually helped me to advance the solve. That's very frustrating. Okay, so we're going to have to, I think, go back to what we were doing and see if we can spot anything else clever. And I may have to be a bit more rigorous about completing the pencil mark situation. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to actually also take a look at some of these columns where we've got an awful lot of given digits, just to check the naked singles. So 2, 5, 7, 8, 9. That's an, oh, hang on, there is one there. This has got to be an 8. Let me just check that again. So looking down here at column 5, we need 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9. 2, 5, 7, can be an 8, can't be a 9 because of this 9. So there is actually an 8 there. That gives us pencil marked 8s at the top. I'm not sure whether Linda had this or not. Should we check? Oh, so Linda had got the 8. Okay, fine. And in fact, Linda had got a 2 there as well. So that's probably coming from the same restriction in column 5 here. So we need 2, 5, 7, and 9. So yes, it is. So this can only be a 2. That's a naked single as well. Don't know that it's going to help us, but 5, 7, and 9 into the 3 open positions now. Aha! But there is something we can do from these two numbers. So now the place we need to focus, or the thing that we need to spot, is that there is a lovely juxtaposition here between column 5 of the grid and row 6 of the grid. So take a look at column 5 and row 6 and see if you can spot something important. And the thing that we need to notice is that the numbers 2, 6, and 8 are appearing in both of these subsets. So 2, 6, and 8 is appearing down here in the column, and 2, 6, and 8 here are appearing in the row. So when we look at the 3 by 3 block in the center, where can we put the numbers 2, 6, and 8? There are only 3 cells left that can contain these numbers. And that's those 3 cells. We cannot put 2, 6, and 8 into any other position. Now, of course, you'll say to me, but Snyder notation would not have allowed you to see that. You're quite right, it wouldn't. Snyder notation is fantastic at spotting pairs and things like that, and even some simple X-wing logic tends to present itself if you're good with Snyder notation. But spotting this sort of thing, you won't get from Snyder notation. You just have to get used to comparing rows, columns, and boxes, and being on the lookout for this sort of thing. And this is very powerful. So what can we see from this? Well, I can see one thing immediately. This 3 now becomes much more important than we might have thought, because now we can Snyder notate the 3's into those 2 positions. Now, does that matter? Let's have a look along row 6 of the grid now. So now in these 3 positions, we can say we need to place the numbers 1, 5, 7, and 9. 9s are quite restricted, aren't they? But I don't know that they're quite restricted enough. 3. No, I'm not sure. Oh, but I tell you what we can do. Look, we can Snyder notate 3's, which I'd missed. These 3's here. And now these 3's here mean this cannot be a 3. So the moment I eliminate that 3, this has got to be a 3, and that means I can immediately place a 4 as well. So that is a nice breakthrough. That's going to give us another number I can see immediately as well. So now we have 3's in one of these 2 positions, so we get to pencil mark 3's up there. And this 4 means 4, 4, there's a 4 in one of these 2 positions, and look, there's a 4 over there as well. So we get to place a few more numbers now, which is useful. Let's place some 4's down here. So looking now at row 9 of the grid, now no 4 in this position. So this has got to be a 2 or a 7. That's still no good. 1's now though. Look, where can we place a 1 in this block? There's only one position left. Let's put that in. One's locked into one of these 3 cells. Now we are starting to make progress. Where can I put a 1 here? Only in this cell. That means I can immediately pencil mark the 9 as well. And in fact, we're really starting to cook with gas, I think. Because now, this cell here was a 1, 3 or a 5 because of the triple that we'd spotted in column 7. And now we have a 3, 5 pair because of this 1. So this square must be a 1. That allows us to pencil mark 1s into those 2 squares because we had the 1 on the 1 there. This 9 also is obviously very powerful. It forces a 9 into this square. We can now pencil mark 9s in the middle block into one of those 2 positions. We can go further than that though, because this 9 and this 9 interact to force a 9 into one of these 2 squares. So in fact this cannot be a 9. And the puzzle is now, I think, starting to collapse. Because once I place this 9, I'm also going to get an immediate 3 from the earlier pencil marks, and a 9 here. Whoa, it's all starting to... And that means this is a 3. In fact, the whole thing is chaining beautifully. This is why in the World Championship you see a lot of this notation, because if you do get on a roll, you can really start to motor. So we need 5 and 7 along here, so this is a 5. 7, 7, 5 here, 5 there. This is a 5. This is a 5. That means this is a 1. Pencil mark the 1s down there just for good order. And we've got the 2, 6, 8 triple in the centre, so we need the numbers. What's that? It's going to be 7 and 5, is it? Yeah, that looks right. 5 and 7. 5 and 7, not quite resolvable yet. This 6 here, I guess we can remove the 6 from there just for, again, good order. We need 2 and 7 into these 2 squares. 2, 7, 2, 7. Don't think we can quite resolve that yet. And at the top here, we're looking for 6, 7 and 8. 7 here. That's very helpful. 7. Well, this must now be the 8, which means this is the 6. Which means this is a 6, just looking at the interaction of the 6 here with the 8s that, or the 6s that we know are in one of those 2 positions, so that's a 6. That means we have a 2, 8 pair in the central block, and this is a 6. Now we're obviously going to get this number down here because we've got this triple that is now sorted out. That's got to be 2, 4 and 8 in some order. In fact, looking at what we've done here, this must be the 4. Two, 8, 2, 8. This is going to have to be a 7 in order to complete the block. Now we've got a number up there, that's got to be a 4. That means this is a 4. This must be a 3 to complete this. Yeah, I mean, all we're doing here is just finishing off the puzzle. So I hope this was helpful to your own solving. It's certainly quite, I think it had some things to teach all of us, especially about keeping your mind flexible. Not just Sudoku solving is not, you know, it's not like an algorithm. You can't just sort of run an algorithm in your brain on every puzzle and sort of start with the 1s, go through the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6, 7, 8, Snyder notate and expect the answer to come out at the end. It's a bit more complicated than that. But this is certainly a nice way of solving puzzles in general. So now we need 1 and 9 here. Let's finish this off. 1, 9. Hopefully, if I haven't made a mistake, we're looking at 2 and 7. 7 and 2. And there we go. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you do enjoy the channel, please subscribe. We really appreciate that. And we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.